धीमहि यो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नमः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय
बोलो भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो।
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय,
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
जय राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय,
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
जय राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय
बोलो भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे
राम राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय
बोलो भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो।
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय,
राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण
जय राम कृष्ण जय राधे कृष्ण जय,
राम कृष्ण जय राधे
कृष्ण जय राम कृष्ण जय बोलो,
भज मन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम,
रघुकुल भूषण राम 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 माधव गोविंद श्याम श्याम श्याम।
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम,
हरे राम हरे कृष्ण हरे राम।
Ramakrishna jaya bolo.
भजमन राम कृष्ण जय बोलो। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय। गौरी नंदन गजवदना गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गौरी नंदन गजवदना गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गजानना 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 ओम गजवदना गजानना ओम गजवदना। एकदन्ता गजानना एकदन्ता गजानना हेरम्बा गजानना हेरम्बा गजानना। गौरी नंदन गजवदना गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गौरी नंदन गजवदना गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। गजानना 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 ओम गजवदना गजानना ओम गजवदना। एकदन्ता गजानना एकदन्ता गजानना हेरम्बा गजानना हेरम्बा गजानना। गौरी नंदन गजवदना गणेश वरदा मां पाहि। ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
शंकरा शिव शंकरा शिव शंकरा शिव शंकरा 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 शंकरा शिव शंकरा பததல்வி வந்திதினே சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா கற்றவர் தொழுது ஏத்தும் சீர் கரையூரில் பாடி கொடுமுடி கற்றவர் தொழுது ஏத்தும் சீர் கரையூரில் பாடி கொடுமுடி நற்றவா உனை நான் மறக்கினும் சொல்லும் நான் நம சிவாயவே நற்றவா உனை நான் மறக்கினும் சொல்லும் நான் நம சிவாயவே சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா சிவ சங்கரா 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 ஓம் திருச்சிற்றம்பலம்.
हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा अरुमामरे पोற்றிடும் सुंदर कलाधर परमे हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा दयानाथ गुरु महादेव नुने पनिदे सर्वेशा दयानाथ गुरु महादेव नुने पनिदे सर्वेशा तिरुतांडवमादियता हरे पोपनु अरुवाय महेशा शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा अरुमामरे पोற்றிடும் सुंदर कलाधर परमे उमेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा दयानाथ गुरु महादेव नुने पनिदे सर्वेशा दयानाथ गुरु महादेव नुने पनिदे सर्वेशा तिरुतांडवमादियता हरे पोपनु अरुवाय महेशा वो पुरं में त्रिविधि कने तोरुदाय महेशा सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा हर हर शंकर सांब सदा शिव देवा महेशा 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 ओम श्री राम कृष्ण भगवान की जय।
न दातोय न माता न बन्धोय न दाता न पुत्रोय न पुत्री न भेद्यो न भर्ता न जायाय न विद्या न विद्येममेव गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि भवाब्दावपाले महादुःखभीरो पपाता प्रकामी प्रलोभी प्रमत्त कुसंसारपाशा प्रबद्धा सदाहं गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि दानं न च ध्यानयोगं न जानामि तन्त्रं न च स्तोत्रमन्त्रं न जानामि पूजां न च न्यासयोगं गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि न जानामि पुण्यं न जानामि तीर्थं न जानामि मुक्तिं गयं वा कदाचित् न जानामि भक्तिं व्रतं वापि मातर् गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि कुकर्मी कुसङ्गी कुबुद्धि कुदासा कुलाचारहीना कदाचारहीना कुदृष्टि कुवाक्य प्रबन्धा सदाहं गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि ब्रजेशं रमेशं महेशं सुरेशं दिनेशं निशितेश्वरं वा कदाचित् न जानामि चान्यत् सदाहं शरण्ये गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि विवादे विषादे प्रमादे प्रवासे चले चालले पर्वते शत्रुमध्ये अरण्ये शरण्ये सदा मां प्रपाहि गति स्वं त्वमेका भवानि गति स्वं गतेस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी अनाथो दरिद्रो जरारोगयुक्तो महाक्षीणदीना सदा जाड्यवत्र विपत्तो प्रविष्टा प्रनष्टा सदाहं गतेस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतेस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी गतेस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानी। ॐ श्री रामकृष्ण भगवान की जय।
Om Namo Narayana. On scanning the history of the only ancient civilization that has survived time, that is the Hindu civilization, the observant student will come across towering personalities who have left an indelible footprint on our culture, enriching and invigorating the Hindu lifestyle. These personages are remembered and revered for their contribution. We will mention a few of these persons of excellence before the Christian era: Sri Ramachandra, Sri Krishna, and Lord Buddha. There is no shadow of doubt that these were historical persons. About 1200 years ago, there lived another such towering personality by name Adi Shankaracharya, who lived for a brief period of 32 years only. His birth anniversary is observed next Friday, 6th May. In his short life, his contribution to Hindu civilization is phenomenal. His intellect and depth of scholarship are recognized as being unmatched anywhere in the world. His output as a composer of devotional hymns is monumental. In the Ashram prayer book, there are about half a dozen of his compositions that are recorded. He wrote devotional lyrics on Shiva, the Divine Mother, Krishna, Vishnu, Ganesh, Ganga, Guru, Lakshmi, etc., etc. The last song you heard, called Bhavanyashtakam, is one dedicated to the Universal Divine Mother. In this, Shankara pours out his heart, beseeching the grace of the Mother. Having realized the futility of finding any lasting peace in the relationships in the world, with deep conviction, he cries out to her, seeking refuge at her feet. After this talk, you will hear another of his compositions called Acyuta Ashtakam, in which he points out the different glories and manifestations of Lord Narayan. More than these hymns, his written works are legion. In his works, he covers a basic knowledge base of Hinduism, covering the essential questions: what is this universe in which we live? Who is God? Who is the jiva, the individual soul? And what is the relationship between all of these three? You will recognize that the European education we follow only attempts to answer the first question: what is this universe? And that also, they do not follow the inquiry on the nature of this universe to its logical conclusion. European educational systems are silent on the other two questions: God and the individual jiva. The religions originating in the Middle East discuss God and man to some extent. However, it is only in the East that the inquiry is taken to the ultimate conclusions. As such, Shankara's literary output in terms of the elaborations of the primary Hindu scriptures are invaluable. Those who have read Shakespeare's plays will know that though Shakespeare wrote in English, that without a commentary, his plays are difficult to appreciate in all their fullness, because the language and images used in it are of a bygone era. Likewise, our Hindu scriptures have been made more available to us because of Shankara's commentaries on them. Without his commentaries, it will be very, very difficult for later generations, including our own, to fully grasp the Gita, the Upanishads, and so forth. These being our foundational scriptures. Going forward from Shankara's time, we come across another giant among men, Swami Vivekananda, who has made the same text relevant to our present needs by speaking and writing them in English. What one gathers from this brief historical sketch is a distinctive feature of our Hindu civilization, the notable characteristic which marks Hindu civilization out from other world civilizations is that the Hindu culture is a knowledge-based culture and civilization. The ancient Greeks were interested in aesthetics. The Romans were materialists. The modern European nations are consumeristic to an extreme, where they view nature and all other people as objects to be plundered for their own interest. Of Shankara's works, around 50 hymns and over 50 books are available at present. Of his written works, Shankara is a very brief 2-page but brilliant introduction to his commentary on Lord Krishna's Bhagavad Gita makes many remarks which are worthy of note. I will discuss this introduction in some detail because in it Shankara gives a roadmap for Hindus. Shankara records, in the beginning of this creation, Lord Narayan presented 2 paths to mankind. First is the path of activity done with the attitude of service. All of us have to engage in activity, both physical and mental. It is inescapable. These activities must be done with the attitude of service, meaning we should not do activities only for own selfish interest and only according to our likes. Activity must be done as per the guidelines laid out in the Vedas. Where are we to find examples of how to conduct oneself? In the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, etc. As one leads one's life in the scripturally directed way of life, we will lead to the second phase of life. This second phase is that of stopping or renouncing activity. The second path is that of devotion to God on a full-time professional basis. The directions for this second path are given to the end of the Vedas in the books called the Upanishads. And here again, the living examples are available in the biographical sketches of saints like Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramana Maharishi, etc. Shankara points out that with the passage of time, those living the life in the first phases of activity, which is all of us, get caught up in the world, which we find more attractive than the Creator, Ishvara, and thereby get confused and lose our way. He forcefully brings to the notice of the readers that this lapse is due to man not paying due attention to knowledge. In this way, the spirit of the Vedas is lost. The scripture is no doubt there in letter, but the essence of spirit is lost. At this point, Ishvara himself comes on earth to re-establish religion. In this way, for instance, Sri Ramakrishna was born, and as we regularly chant, Stapakaya cha dharmasya, which translated reads, Sri Ramakrishna came to establish religion. Shankara then elaborates that when God comes on earth as man, an avatar, God points out to mankind that the acquisition of true knowledge is the aim of our life. I need to inquire, who am I really? Who is God? And what is the world made up of? And what is the relationship between God, man, and the universe? This is a vital knowledge base of Hinduism from Vedic times. It is on this foundation that Hinduism exists. Hindu society is founded on a deep understanding of Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. In order to facilitate and consolidate his works so that he is not lost to posterity, Shankara established 4 major centers of learning in the 4 cardinal points of India: Sringeri in the south, Dwarka in the west, Puri in the east, and Badrinath in the north of India. Each of these centers is appointed one of his principal disciples with the purpose of preserving the four Vedas and the Upanishads. In this way, a lineage of sannyasins affiliated to each of these four centers carries on the tradition to this very day. The heads of these institutions, even today, following the lead of Shankara, move all over India regularly, engaging in discussion, giving scriptural instruction, discourses, and initiation to those desirous of following a dedicated life. Coming to some biographical details of Shankara, he left home at the age of 8, having taken the vow of sannyas. From then he walked for years the length and breadth of India, from what is Afghanistan in the west to what is Myanmar or Burma in the east, from the southern tip of India, Kanyakumari, to Nepal and Kashmir in the north. Through all the different kingdoms and republics he went, he spoke to commoners and kings. He visited all the local temples and made suggestions on the method of worship, etc., and engaged in public debates with renowned scholars to highlight the prime importance of the acquisition of knowledge. Shankara put forward the system of inquiry as a preeminent method for spiritual development. By walking on foot all over India, and further by establishing these four institutions of higher learning in these four locations, Shankaracharya reaffirmed the traditional Hindu position that Bharat, or as it is usually called in modern times India, is not a political state determined by borders as defined by Europeans, but rather that Bharat is a civilizational nation. It is a sacred geography, and India or Bharat is not confined by borders determined by kings, emperors, and conquerors. There is a tendency attributed to European rulers of India to proclaim that they were the ones who consolidated India into a single unit. This is not true at all. Bharat is a civilizational nation with a sacred geography revered as Bharat Mata. It is noteworthy that it is only in Indian civilization that the highest respect and position is granted to monastics, both male and female. In all other civilizations, past and present, it is a man of physical might, or military might, or financial might that is seen as the leader of people. This Hindu tradition of according primacy to a true man of knowledge has acted as a saving grace in preserving Hindu culture through the centuries. All other civilizations, without exception, are buried under the sands of time. One may well predict that the present European civilization will face a similar fate of oblivion, since its base is false. European civilization has grown on the plunder of the environment and the backs and lives of other people on the globe whom they colonized. It is vitally important, therefore, that in our own way, we as Hindus preserve in our own life, in our family and society, the core Hindu values which have stood the test of time. These core values are elaborated by Shankara in his treatises and further elaborated on and explained and exemplified in the life of a holy trio. Sri Ramakrishna himself traces monastic lineage to Adi Shankara. If we only care to inquire, we will soon realize that the different Hindu customs, traditions, music, dance form, food preparation, food choices, social structure, the manner of greetings, dress, are all based on a firm sacred knowledge base. If the foundation of building are strong, the superstructure can adapt and survive the winds of change which are forever blowing. The modern Hindu has the time and the means and the wherewithal to dive deeply into the profound literature which has enriched our civilization. Serious study, which is called Swadhyaya, is a religious imperative if one wants to move from a point of just being religiously comfortable to the position of a sincere devotee leading a life as per primary scriptures of the Vedas. To be able to do that in any depth, one is inevitably led to read the life and works of Shankara. He is therefore called Shankaracharya, Shankara, the teacher. I leave you finally with some of his words. Mind, give up your restlessness. Hold the balance evenly before you. In one scale, place all the objects of the world. In the other, God Himself, the Lord of prosperity. As between these two, reflect wherein lies greater peace and greater good. From reasoning and experience, whatever appeals to you as a repository of bliss, take it with all your heart. Shankara's essential message is that we as humans have an intellect which should develop assiduously and use it to lead an examined life. We are all seeking peace. We are all seeking unending happiness. Are we looking in the right place for it? If we just pause and think about what has happened to others, what is happening around us and to us, will we not change our way Godwards? Swami Vivekananda records, before we came into the world, God Himself provided the means to get out. All we have to do is find the means. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Shri Ramakrishna.
Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudevam Harim Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Vallabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandram Bhaje. Achyutam Keshavam Satyabhamamadhavam Madhavam Sridharam Radhikaraधिtam Indiram Indiram Chetasa Sundaram Devaki Nandanam Nandajam Sandade. Vishnave Jishnave Shankine Chakrine Rukmini Ragine Janaki Janaye Vallavi Vallabha Yatmane Kamsave Vamsine Vamshine Te Namah. Krishna Govinda He Ramanarayana Shripate Vasudevajita Srinidhe Achyutananda He Madhava Dokshaja Dwaraka Nayaka Draupadi Rakshaka Shobhita Sitaya Shobhito Dandakaranyabhu Punyata Karana Lakshmane Nandito Vanare Sevito Agastya Sambhujito Raghava Patuma Dhenukarishtaka Nishtake Dveshiha Keshiha Kamsavi Vamshika Vadaka Potana Popaka Suraja Kelano Balako Malaka Patumam Sarvada. Vidyudut Yottavat Prasfurat Vasasam Pravidam Hodavat Rolasad Vigraham Vanyaya Madaya Shobhito Rastadam Lohitam Gridvayam Varijasham Bhaje. Kunchite Kundale Rajamananam Ratnamolim Lasat Kundalam Gandhayo Harake Yurikam Kankana Projvalam Kinkini Manjulam Shyamalam Tam Bhaje. Achyuta Ashtakam Yapachedishtadam Prematah Pratyaham Purusha Saspriham Vrittata Sundaram Karniveshvam Bharas Tasya Vashyo Hari Jayate Satvaram Tasya Vashyo Hari Jayate Satvaram Tasya Vashyo Hari Jayate Satvaram. भगवान की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। श्री अम्बे अम्बे मात की जय। श्री कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय। તમે મારા થયા હું તમારો થયો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। તમે મારા થયા હું તમારો થયો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। હું તો જપતો તમારી મારા, કરતો નિશ દિન કાલા વાલા। હું તો જપતો તમારી મારા, કરતો નિશ દિન કાલા વાલા। વાલા વેગે આવો મારે મન રે ભાવો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। તમે મારા થયા હું તમારો થયો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। હું તો વાતલરી તારી જોતો, મારા તારે વિયોગે રોતો। હું તો વાતલરી તારી જોતો, મારા તારે વિયોગે રોતો। આંખો ભીની ભીની રોય રોય થાય છે જીની નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। તમે મારા થયા હું તમારો થયો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। શ્યામ ભક્ત કહે પ્રભુ આવો, આવી હાથ પકડજો મારો। શ્યામ ભક્ત કહે પ્રભુ આવો, આવી હાથ પકડજો મારો। મુખે માંગુ એવું તારે ચરણે રહેવું નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। તમે મારા થયા હું તમારો થયો નંદલાલા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। આવો આવો કનૈયા તારા। ઓમ શ્રી રામકૃષ્ણ ભગવાન की जय।
Om Namo Narayana, dear sisters and brothers. Let us sit calmly and concentrate on the beautiful form of the Divine Mother seated in our hearts. A hymn from the Devi Mahatmyam says, when called to mind in a difficult pass, you remove fear from every person. When called to mind by those in happiness, you bestow a mind still further pious. Which goddess but you, O dispeller of poverty, pain and fear, has an ever sympathetic heart for helping everyone. Please bless us, Mother, so that we may have devotion to your lotus feet. May we never forget that you are seated in our hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
ॐ सर्वे स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ तत्सत् जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय महामाय की जय स्वामी जी महाराज की जय गंगा मात की जय महावीर स्वामी जी की जय सर्व ऋषि मुनियों की जय पार्वती पतये हर हर महा